maybe it does mean, maybe it might,
right.
Maybe it might.
This fight is so close, they're so closely knitted that you got to look for all the small pieces because the small things are what going to add up to somebody winning the fight.
And fight a guy who might put him in a dogfight, a real one, for the first time in his career.
When we get put in that position, we go find opposition to make that happen. You understand me? So when we go looking for the opposition, we're not concerned about how big they are, how fast they are, how strong they are. We feel like we got enough that we can bring to the table with anybody.
But skill for skill, as far as equality, to me, Bud and Canelo are equal because of where they're in their career.
The thing I like about Teo's style, I mean, when you have a guy like Shakur whose defense is that good, and he's not just a guy who's going to hug you, he can box, you know? The easiest thing in the world is just to pick him against everybody.
Right.
Yes. But Teo also has the kind of footwork, Malik, where he steps around guys.
Roy Jones Jr. and Max Kellerman break down the Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez matchup by looking beyond punches and combinations, focusing instead on mindset, bravery, and ambition. They stress that true champions don't avoid danger, they embrace it. Real greatness comes from facing any opponent at any moment, regardless of size, reputation, or perceived risk. Max presents the fight as a high-stakes scenario for Shakur, pointing out that Stevenson carries more risk into this bout, while Teofimo has far more upside if he's
the undefeated fighter. He's seen as the eventual pound-for-pound champ, potentially. But Teo has more to win. He has more to gain. So on the one hand, is there an advantage there where Shakur is fighting to protect that perfect record, to protect that kind of sense that he's the next guy? On the other hand, Teo is like he can fight with more abandon against Shakur because there's so much for him to gain. And if he loses, he's lost before. He lost to Kambosos, and he came back from that. But oh my God, if he can pull it off. Like, if it's a close fight and Teo could keep it close and we're going into the 10th, 11th, 12th rounds, is there an advantage there given that situation?
He came back from that Kambosos fight, but in some way, the jury is still out on Teo a little bit because I'm gonna tell you what, on that card that was done in Times Square, he looked the best out of, with all due respect, out of a lot of people.
On one of boxing's biggest competitive platforms, Roy Jones Jr., however, pushes back against surface-level comparisons. He compares the matchup to elite-level clashes like Canelo versus Bud, explaining that while those fights involve power and physicality, Shakur versus Teofimo is different.
Good damn fight too. See, that fight is skill for skill, as good as this fight. But they just haven't been around long enough to prove themselves yet. But skill for skill, as far as equality, to me, Bud and Canelo are equal because of where they're in their career, because of how accomplished they are. These two guys are also equal where they're in their career, because they're accomplished, but not as accomplished as these two. But they're still equal accomplished. You understand me? So those are two good damn fights.
It's a true technician's battle where skill, timing, and execution will ultimately decide the outcome. Max Kellerman also highlights Teofimo's footwork, praising how fluidly he moves around opponents. He notes Lopez's ability to create angles.
To be honest, the way I see it, I don't think that was the best version of Teo by a long shot. But even then, he was rallying in that fight late. He has championship heart. And the thing I like about Teo's style, I mean, when you have a guy like Shakur whose defense is that good, and he's not just a guy who's going to hug you, he can box, you know? The easiest thing in the world is just to pick him against everybody.
Right. Yes.
But Teo also has the kind of footwork, Malik, where he steps around guys. And I think about Buddy McGirt, Meldrick Taylor.
Yes.
Roy, you know, where Meldrick had quick enough feet where if you were going to come right at Buddy McGirt, he could box you. But Meldrick could give him angles that were more difficult. I think of Roy Jones Jr.
and slip out of danger using smart movement and high-level ring awareness. Teofimo speaks with confidence about his preparation, emphasizing that boxing begins in the mind before anything else. He explains that his mentality
prepared with the audience. Are you mentally going to be prepared with the certain punch selection? There's things that I have to maintain as well. Those are things that I have to work on within myself. It's a muscle. Think of it like condiments, right? You got your ketchup, you got your mustard, you got all these type of condiments, but you don't know if you like it or not unless you try it. And I think the same thing applies when it comes to getting prepared for certain things like this. Pretty much you have to try different things, different steps, different routines, different ways to see what really fits and works for you. And if they all fit and work for you, when is the right time to apply them? And it's a muscle memory that you have to create now. If you don't create now, it can harm you the day of the fight. The mentality part of it is gonna really be the key moment for who wins that night. I'm that type of person, truly, that type of person that focuses on.
Meanwhile, Shakur Stevenson remains fully dialed in at training camp, pushing himself day after day. His attention is on refining every detail, sharpening movement, tightening defense, and making sure both his body and mind are prepared for what lies ahead. There are no distractions in camp, only consistent.
Right at that chest, it's coming, it's coming.
That was 9 rounds of sparring. I ain't gonna tell y'all the minutes, but yeah, I'm preparing to my fullest. So I'm putting in a lot of work and getting ready. Sure. Training with Shakur is amazing. A guy like me been knowing Shakur for over 10 years now. The boxing world know that we brothers and we'll never fight each other. And just being around him in his camp, man, is nothing but positive energy. And everybody wanting to be great. He's like my big brother, man. Like, he is my big brother, honestly. You know, he got all the wisdom in the world, especially when it comes to defense. So he's just making sure I stay sharp on my defense and not getting hit.
Only consistency, discipline, and a commitment to steady improvement. Wade, the show's host, explains why this matchup matters beyond the fighters themselves. He points out that both men could have chosen easier paths, but facing each other creates something meaningful for the sport. High risk, high reward fights like this open doors to greater opportunities and elevate boxing as a whole. Wade emphasizes that when the best fight
This is what people don't realize about making best versus best fights. For the most part, only good can come from this. I'm going to knock on wood when I say that because I don't want to have one of these fights where we get a stinker performance or anybody. But when the pressure is this high, when the stakes are this high and you get this kind of opportunity, it will compound interest, even sometimes for the loser as well. This is why you look at MMA and you look at the UFC and they have guys with 10 losses, 5 losses, 12. Some people that you would never think are going to compete for a championship, and maybe they don't even compete for a championship, but they're in interesting fights that people want to watch. Doing fights like this makes Teofimo Lopez, makes Shakur Stevenson a bigger name, and therefore, after
everyone wins. Even the fighter who comes up short gains experience, exposure, and long-term value. He compares this philosophy to MMA and the UFC, where fighters can absorb losses and still build strong reputations through exciting, competitive performances. Those types of matchups keep fans engaged and anticipation high. By stepping in with an elite opponent, Teofimo Lopez boosts Shakur Stevenson's profile, and Shakur does the same for Teofimo. When a fight of this magnitude ends, both fighters emerge with increased visibility and momentum toward future headline opportunities. Fans tune in because
I love that type of stuff, because what Teo's saying is true. Like, for him to go to the next level in his career, and for Shakur as well, they need to be tested, and they have been, especially Teo. Teo's taken some tough fights. He's beaten Vasily Lomachenko, beaten Josh Taylor, beaten Arnold Barboza. Like, these are tougher. Sandor Martin was a tough test as well. But my point is, this is how you get better. And this is why it frustrates me that guys won't take tough fights until they're 25-0 sometimes. And he's talking about Shakur's lateral movement, talking about how good he is as a boxer. This is, again, win or learn, in my opinion. Not that the stakes don't matter, not that wins and losses don't matter, but how are you ever going to really show your talent level if you aren't competing with the best? And Shakur has the same opportunity. This is Shakur's toughest test, no doubt about it. The Williams-Zepeda fight was a tough test because of the style of fight that Zepeda brings, but Zepeda is not the boxer that...
Sean Porter adds his perspective, confidently stating that Shakur is always going to be Shakur. While there's never certainty about which version of either fighter will show up on fight night, one thing remains constant. Shakur brings his own style, identity, and intensity every time he steps into the ring. Porter reflects on Shakur's most recent performance, explaining how Stevenson adapted as the fight progressed. He studied his opponent, gathered information, and gradually imposed control. Despite criticism labeling his approach as running, Shakur chose to stay in the pocket more than usual, showing courage alongside strategic awareness. even when that meant taking shots he didn't necessarily need to absorb. It demonstrated confidence and discipline. According to Porter, that willingness to adjust and take calculated risks not only showcases Shakur's ability, it also strengthens his connection with fans and reinforces why he remains one of the most compelling and talked about fighters in boxing today.